How's your partnership with Daryl Ward working out? Are you having success and a good time doing that?
Yeah, we're having a real good time doing that. Daryl kind of got it started and asked me over, and I enjoy working with Daryl a lot.
What's he like?
He's just a big kid at heart, really. I remember one time we were trying to tie down a load and I couldn't quite get it, so he's on it and we're both just bouncing on this winch bar and it finally snaps shut and we're like on the ground rolling around in the snow, and it's just fun. It's just a blast.
He's like a big brother.
Yeah, he is like a big brother. Yep, exactly.
Never thought of it that way. Now, you used to work for Polar. Mm-hmm. Do you miss it?
Yeah, I enjoyed working for Polar, but it's kind of fun to stretch myself as a driver and go something kind of beyond my comfort zone.
What do you think about when you're out there driving? I know you get the camera going and one thing and another, but do you kind of think about how bad this could be?
What I think about besides murdering my producer? Yeah, it runs through your head because we talk about it a lot because that's what the show's about. So it's a lot of really contemplating like what could happen, and it's kind of worst case scenarios. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. It's stressful.
It's kind of inherent to the business.
Yeah, and it's easy to get complacent when you do it so many times, and then you got to keep reminding yourself that it really is a dangerous job.
How bad were the roads this season? They looked like a mess.
Yeah, I missed yesterday's show, so I don't know what it was like, but this year there was not much snow at all, so it was really hard to find a good road to go down and shoot on because there's like one road open. It's like, well, how do we make this one road look interesting until something else opens up, you know?
Not only was there little snow, it was pretty warm, pretty mild by comparison.
It was warm, so the roads were really rough because there wasn't any snow to fill in the humpty-doos. Because we're not on a road, we're on the tundra, and we depend on that snow to fill in the holes. And then it smooths it out for us, but it was just a rock and roll ride and just searching for roads that were open. It was tough.
Also, when you get to the lake, there's less ice. That's got to be nerve-wracking.
Yeah, a little bit. You're kind of in your mind, it all looks the same because you can't see how thick it is, so you're kind of like, it looks the same, but in my head is saying it's probably not.
Any close calls for you?
This year?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Not anything more than usual, right?
How has this show changed you, and what have you learned about yourself from being on this?
Just being on TV in general, they ask the same questions so many times that you really kind of get to look at the answer. You say it, and then you find a better way to say it, and then you explore different answers until you're finally like, yeah, I like that one. So you kind of learn about yourself because of that.
How did you get started in driving in the first place?
I guess I just wanted to. I have different stories for this one too. One's process of elimination of what I didn't want to do, and my dad's a dental hygienist and my mom's a nurse, and I'm like, our dinner conversations were very interesting, and I'd never wanted to go that way, probably because I was eating at the time I heard the stories, but just wanted to be outside and have some manual labor, but not too much, and I'm such a tomboy, and I grew up on a farm running around barefoot, so I was like, trucks just kind of fit.
Hopefully not barefoot in Alaska.
Oh yeah, barefoot in Alaska.
No.
I'm like, no pain, no gain. It's been my motto ever since.
It's run 10 seasons. You've been on what, 6, I think?
I've been all but the first 2, and I didn't do season
you missed
6 either.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's 6 or 7. It's 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, that's a good long run for
That's a
any
really
TV
long
show.
run. Yeah.
And what do you attribute that to? Why is it so wildly popular?
I think it's just something different. There's a lot of truckers around, but they're mostly doing highway and stuff, and this ice road trucking is just something that's not kind of on anybody's radar, and all of a sudden it's like, you mean people do that? So it's just something different. It's a way to kind of vicariously live through someone on TV.
There's a lot of folks, a lot of drivers who say, well, you would never do that, that's all. And kind of poo-poo some of the stuff that you're doing. What do you say to people who question being on the ice roads?
Well, because they're not out there, so they don't really know why we do things, because it's so easy to see something wrong or how to correct it when you're not there and seeing the whole situation, and we're doing the best that we can for sure. And there is a lot of people that are like, I would never do what you do, and I'm like, good, because I like doing it. You can stick to the highways, I hate the highways.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, did you drive a lot of highway stuff before?
In the summertime in Alaska, it's highway, yeah. Yeah, so I get that all summer, and then it's like, yes, it's wintertime finally, I can get off the road.
What do you see the future of the show?
I don't don't know. I really don't know. I seriously thought the show was going to end years ago, and it keeps going, so it's got some longevity to it. It's a little less fun now than it used to be because I mean it was all new and exciting, and now it's more like a job.
Yeah.
But I mean I still have fun doing it because it's fun going to a different country and driving on the roads and getting that experience.
Now, tell me about Steph Custance.
Oh yeah. She's a new girl on the show, and I didn't run with her. So Todd's the one that taught her, and she's kind of the new employee there. So I didn't really run into her that much, so I don't know. But all I know is she didn't really drive a truck before the show. So I think that's really interesting how she got picked. But I mean, she was like, "Oh, I'm so glad there's another girl. Can you show me how to do this?" So it was kind of cool to be able to show her some things.
Well, last night Todd took her on her first trip down the ice roads and her first lake crossing.
How'd it go?
And it seems well.
Really? Good.
Absolutely. They had to chain up, and Todd had to give her throwing iron 101 lesson by the side of the road.
She's never chained up before because she's never driven a truck before. So.
And then got to the lake, and I would say that there was a tense moment, and Todd parked on the shore and watched her cross, and she got across and burst into tears.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh, it was very emotional. And,
well,
in a good way.
But you can imagine too, if it's your first time going across ice, that would be scary.
Yeah.
But she can't stop on the ice, so she's got to keep going. So that probably just builds up in you. But everybody's got to start somewhere, and I started there too. I don't know if I burst into tears after crossing, but it was pretty scary.
Do you recall that first trip?
I don't. I have a terrible memory.
What do you do when you're not driving a truck? What do you do in your downtime? Do you have downtime?
I do have downtime. I've been really busy doing these truck shows and appearances, so I actually haven't had time to drive truck a whole lot, just because nobody wants to hire someone that's like, bye, I'm leaving again, bye, I'm leaving again. So I've actually just been taking advantage of that time, and I've been riding my dirt bike, and I raced it last year, and I got 2 championships I'm so proud of.
What are you riding?
Right now I'm riding a Yamaha. I know, I'm a Kawasaki girl, but this Yamaha is really sweet, and it's a 4-stroke 250, and so I'm riding that. And then I'm also riding my Tennessee Walker and Gypsy and my little miniature. Well, I'm not riding him, but I put him to work.
Good, they should. they need a good job.
He can
don't
pull
they?
carts.
Yes?
Oh yeah, he pulls me up to the liquor store and back. I'm just kidding.
What do you like about the Tennessee Walker? That's a very different breed.
The Tennessee Walker is my most normal horse I have, but she's gaited, so she's got this gait, which means like most horses walk, trot, canter. She does a walk, then a Tennessee walk, then a trot and a canter. Yeah, and it's really smooth. It's smoother than a walk, and it's really fast. Like my other horse has to run to keep up to her when she's walking. It's like riding on glass. It's just smooth. It's so awesome.
The total opposite of being on an ice road.
Yeah, so I got to have something with suspension when I'm not driving the ice roads.
Tell me about the other drivers, aside from Daryl being a big brother. What about Todd?
Todd and Todd's probably my favorite person ever that's been on the show. He's a really good guy at heart, and he's the only house I've been to. So me and my husband took our dirt bikes and we went to Todd's house and rode dirt bikes with him and his wife. And
now, he seems like this really solid, kind of level-headed guy.
Yeah, and he's a good teacher as well. I feel like both Todd and Daryl are big brothers to me, and I love them both so much. So. Well,
you had a run at the end of last season, I think, the Hudson Bay, frozen Hudson Bay run.
I'm glad I went with Todd on the Hudson Bay because he was probably the best choice to go with.
That was kind of bizarre.
It was really weird because we're driving snowcats and going across uncharted territory, and I'm glad he got the machine that I did. He's like, "You want to drive it?" I'm like, "Oh no, that's one machine I don't want to drive." He's like, "Third gear's between first and second gear," and it took all of his arm strength to shift it. I'm like, "That's not happening for me." He's a strong guy.
And that was a big piece of equipment, and he hit that rough spot and had to be kind of leveraged out by a piece of equipment that he was hauling.
That was the slowest trip ever. We had that excavator on the back just like pulling itself along behind him, and I'd drive like 5-10 minutes and wait almost a half hour for him to catch up. I'm like, I'd walk back and walk next to him.
Not rubbing it in, though.
No,
No.
just cheering him on. You
Yeah,
can
of
do
course.
it.
There you go. Tell me about Art.
He's kind of the like, I don't even know what to call him. He's unlucky. He's very, very unlucky. Like a lot of stuff that happens to him, I'm like, I don't even understand how that happened to you. And he's like, he just flew into Canada. He's like, Lisa, the flight attendant spilled a lunch on me on the plane. I'm like, yeah, that's your luck. That's your luck,
So
Art.
it's not just on the ice roads, but in life in general.
It's all the time. He's the most unlucky person. And you just have to laugh at him.
He seems to have his foot to the floor constantly.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some of it's driver error, but he's not that bad of a driver. He's just terribly unlucky. Like some of the things he gets himself into, I'm like, I don't even know what I would do in that situation.
Yeah.
Like, how did that happen?
Well, last night he was back on the lake that he broke through in
Oh.
last season.
Ooh.
Yes. And
Hopefully
it was kind
thicker?
of like, okay, I'm gonna extract my revenge on this lake.
Good.
And he did.
Good.
And
Good.
it was a very interesting part of the show.
That's good.
Different side to Art.
Really?
Oh yeah, a little less bravado and more. I'm going to do this. I've got to do
Good.
this.
Good.
Very interesting.
That's good to hear. Maybe he's growing as a truck driver as well.
How about Alex?
Alex, I don't see Alex that much. He only was part-time this year
Right.
shooting. So he and Steph and one other person only came in part-time. And it was only me, Todd, and Daryl and Art that were full-time on the show this year. So everybody I just kind of see in passing, I'm just like, oh, hey, see you later, I'm going trucking. So I haven't heard much of what happened to him this year. He looks rough this year, though. His hair's all... I'm like, cut your hair, Alex.
Well, he's been in the gold fields. He's
Oh, yeah,
working
that's
the
right.
gold claim.
That's right, he is.
Is that something you're going to do?
No.
Go pan for gold?
No.
No?
Not
Take
any.
your Tennessee Walker
Not anytime soon.
into the outback?
I have too many expensive hobbies. I don't need another.
What do your friends and family think about what you do and how you do it?
I mean, most of the people that have seen me on TV and then have become my friends over time, it's kind of always seemed to be like in the back of their mind that I'm still a TV star. So it's a different kind of treatment. But the people that are my friends that like never saw me on the show before or didn't know, they're like a real genuine friend. So the friends that were there before, it was kind of weird. Half of them were like, "You've changed, I'm leaving," and I'm like, "No, I didn't. You just said that. I don't know why they thought that." But and then the other half are like have been there through it all, before, after, during, all of that stuff. So I've really found out who my true friends are through it.
Now, on the topic of fans, did I hear correctly that there's a gentleman here that came from New Zealand to see you?
There's this guy named Neil, and he came to Matt's, and he's here at GATS, and he flies from New Zealand to see me. So he just stays in the hotel and comes every day, and is like, oh, Lisa. It's like, you're crazy for flying that far.
But at the same time, it has to be wildly flattering that someone would. That's a commitment.
It is flattering, but I'm like, you're insane. Just a truck driver, geez. So it's cool.
Well, how were the fans in England when you were just there?
Oh, in England, it's crazy fanage. Like people get up to me and they're like, "I've been standing in line for 3 hours." I'm like, "You? That's insane!" And it's so hot out, and they're just standing there in this stuffy tent for 3 hours waiting to see us for 5 seconds or however long they get, and we're just busy 8 hours a day, just trying to see everybody that you know.
How is it different in England compared to here?
We are at a truck fest, which is more like a fair type thing. And so we do get to drive because me and Todd do challenges against each other in the middle arena. So they just give us some random truck that I've never been in before, and we get in there and we drive through the cones as fast as we can. So I get everything from right hand to left hand, shift and steer. And I had one that was like a clutch on the stick, and some no clutches, and some are double clutches. And I'm like, okay, what's the gearing in this? All right, let's go.
Okay, who wins the challenges?
Todd wins them most by time, and I get them most by cheers.
The people's choice.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
What's next? I don't know. I'm kind of the spontaneous kind of person. I'm just kind of ready to go do whatever. So if we shoot, I'll shoot. If we don't, I got stuff to do. I don't know what, but I'll figure it out. So
That's a great outlook.
yeah, I'm just ready.
got to serve you well to be flexible.
You have to be. If you're not, if you're trying to plan this out, it ain't gonna happen. Sometimes we won't even know that we're shooting, and they'll be like, "Hey, can you be here in a week?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Let me just arrange my whole life for a few months in a week's time. No problem." It's kind of interesting.
Now, when would you be back to shoot again?
If we were to shoot again, we usually go in February and March.
Do you get much of a chance to interact with the people that you deliver to? So many of them are First Nation villages.
Yeah, they are First Nation, and we get a little bit of time, not a whole lot. I mean, it's work, so it's like, here's your stuff, here's your delivery, sign this paper. I'm going to take a nap while you're unloading so that I can make it all the way back. So it's not a whole lot of time, but once a while after its delivery's done and stuff and they want pictures, we'll do that. So it's really cool to be able to deliver stuff to people that really need it, and to them it's like Christmas time the whole winter time long, because they don't get anything in the summer. So you're bringing them all their summer supplies and all their winter supplies. So they're just super appreciative and super nice.
And that's also a huge responsibility.
It is. I mean, they can fly stuff in, but it's way more expensive, and they can only fly little stuff. They can't fly their big building supplies and their loaders that broke that they've been trying to use all summer, and they need a new one. So
that you backhoe last week.
Oh, did I? Nice.
And
Perfect.
You did. Fine job too.
Hey, as long as it gets there.
Absolutely. Lisa, thanks a ton.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good to see you.
You too.